From attic to basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor. 500 help.
That's right. It's Taylor Heating and Plumbing. Taylor 500 Help. Tailor-made services customized for all your needs. We're talking air conditioning. You don't need that right now in Rochester, but you do need heating, and you need a good hot water heater, right? They do the plumbing, home energy, comprehensive maintenance plans. They do it all at Taylor Heating and Plumbing. And of course, they don't stress the important stuff, the repairs or the replacements, because the great thing about Taylor 500 Help is that they have financing. That is a great thing about it. Taylor, they're also looking for people to come in and work. They have hiring opportunities. So if you're looking for a job in HVAC, if you're a tech, you need a job, call Taylor. Plumbers, project managers, office personnel, everything. But let me just tell you this, your furnace blows at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. Who are you going to call? Taylor 500 Help. That's who. Taylor Heating and Plumbing. And of course, Precision Lawn and Garden, North Avenue in Webster. Precision Lawn and Garden has been servicing surrounding areas, professional sales, service, and parts since 1969. It's a long time. They know what they're doing. They know their snow blowers. They know the chainsaws, lawnmowers. They have all of the brands that you love. Toro, Kawasaki engines, Cub Cadet, Aaron's, Precision Lawn and Garden. Go see my friends, Kimberly and Justin. They will set you up at Precision Lawn and Garden. And Express Sealers, 645-2010. That's 645-2010. Brian seals driveways in the summer, but he has a plowing business, residential driveways, and business parking lots right now. If you don't have a good plow service on the east side only, it's Brian at Express Sealers at 645-2010, 645-2010. And of course, the snow's not over, people, so you want to make sure that you have your driveways and your business parking lots plowed. Make sure you support our advertisers. They support us here at Kimberly's Revolution and the We the People Podcast Network.
Just another Wednesday.
Hello.
Live from the We the People broadcast studio in cloudy but mild 46-degree Irondequoit, New York. The force is strong with this one. Here she is. It's
Which
Kimberly
one?
Ray.
It's all of us. Yeah, we are here. Kimberly's Revolution. It is a Wednesday. It is great to be here, and great that all the Patriots are watching Kimberly's Revolution. Of course, the We the People podcastnetwork.com is our website. We are here in lovely Irondequoit, as just Tom mentioned, of course. And it is a beautiful day. It's like 48 degrees, right? Is that what you said? 45?
Something like that.
It's nice.
Way to pay attention.
It is. Well, I don't know. The temperature goes up and down, especially in here with hot flashes, if you know what I mean. But yeah, we have a great Wednesday planned for you. I want to, obviously introduce the people in the room. So I'm Kimberly of Kimberly's Revolution. No big surprise there. And of course, I have Just Tom that's sitting in with me. And I also have Austin, our producer. And the stars of today's show, we have Dave Callis, who is our guest, joining us in studio. And he's sitting right across from us. You might recognize him from a latest video that has gone viral and is everywhere. And of course, joining us in studio is Chad Hummel, who is obviously representing as counsel today here on the show, Dave Callis. So he is the attorney for Dave. Dave, welcome to Kimberly's Revolution. It is great to have you here in studio with us. And I'm so grateful that you decided to come tell your story here to us and all of the Patriots from the We the People Podcast Network. We're so happy about that.
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
It's been kind of a whirlwind for you, hasn't it?
To say the least. Yeah.
The last couple of days.
It's been very interesting last couple of days.
I mean, I know we were going back and forth with Chad last night, and, Chad's text to me was, this guy is a friend of mine, and so we're so glad. What time did Dave call you last night?
Yeah, so I was actually watching the Facebook Live early on before the relative events occurred. I was watching the Facebook Live that somebody was recording.
Here, move your microphone around. Move your microphone. There you go. Get it. Yeah, I get it. Right.
He's used to being right-handed, Kimberly.
I was actually watching the Facebook Live. Don't tell Dave this, but I was watching it not because Dave was there. I didn't even know Dave was there. I was watching because another gentleman that I know quite well was going to be speaking. So I was tuning in to watch him speak. And then that individual texted me and said that he's probably not going to be speaking until around 8 o'clock. And this was at 6:30. So I put my phone away and said, okay, I'll check back at 8 o'clock. In the meantime, my phone literally starts buzzing off the counter. I'm getting text after text after text after text. I read my text messages and somebody tells me that Dave Callis just got quote unquote manhandled and dragged out of the place.
Right.
So I immediately texted Dave because I'm assuming at this point that, that means that the police are involved.
Right. Exactly. Why wouldn't you think that? Because
yeah.
it has been the case, so many times.
Exactly. So I immediately reached out to Dave and said, Dave, text me, let me know, or call me and let me know everything's okay.
Mhm.
And he called me within 30 seconds and filled me in on what had happened. So
Yeah. And that's the name of today's show, Webster, where life is worth getting assaulted.
Yes. apparently.
Where law-abiding, tax-paying citizens,
parents,
citizens. You're a domestic terrorist. I'm just going to flat out put it there. You, sir, are a domestic terrorist, and I salute you.
Don't worry, Dave, we'll sue her too.
I salute you. I mean, because that's what Biden and his ilk.
You're right.
And Monroe County executive and his ilk and the Monroe County health director and all of his peeps, that's what they would have you believe, that you are an insurrectionist, that you are a domestic terrorist.
Not a very good one. If I was sitting there peacefully watching a presentation by a first grader before this incident happened. So clearly
Dave, you seem so normal to be one of Chad's friends.
I know, right?
I'm a little confused what's going on here.
Well, before we get started and ask a little bit about you, I want to play this video. Again, it has gone viral. I think it's been seen by thousands and thousands at this point in time. Austin, who is our producer, he can run that video. This happened last night to you. This is you in the video. Yes. Acting very normal and minding your own business.
Yes.
And we'll get to a couple of questions surrounding that because so many people have their own take on, apparently they, were psychic and knew exactly what happened before the cameras started rolling. So we'll get to that, but play this video, Austin.
Talk about the Chinese New Year. Look at. Oh, they found him. Look at. They found him.
We're in America.
Oh, time to look at this. Look at this. Look. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Is this how you treat
What
our
are
children?
you doing?
Do you put your hands on the
Holy
children like
crap.
that, too, sir?
Holy crap. That's assault. That is assault.
You
Oh my God.
Ow.
Oh my God.
doing that to the children too?
Holy shit. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Officer, do something about that.
You know what? We can call a point of recess.
That's shocking.
You just
It's
allow
someone's
security
sticking
to
up for
do
you,
that?
right? Someone's there
What are
saying
you
this is
doing?
BS.
Correct.
I just heard that for the first time. Do you know who that was, Dave?
Yeah, I know who that was.
Was that M.A.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Initials M.A.?
Yes.
Okay.
So you were there. This is a Webster School Board meeting. And first, just let me say, you're a parent. We're all parents in this room, except for our producer. I can't think of a time ever that I went to a school board meeting of my own volition. I mean, when I was a news director of several radio stations, I would go because it was required of me to go and cover some of these meetings, back in the day when radio stations actually did news, which they don't anymore. But you have kids in the Webster School District. You have several
Yes.
children, right?
I have 3 boys,
Yeah.
2 older boys in college, and my youngest is a freshman at Webster Thomas.
Okay.
Correct.
So what was being talked about last night at the school board meeting that you thought, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to sit in and I'm going to possibly speak if I can. I don't know. Were you on the list to speak?
I was on the list to speak.
Okay, you were.
I correct.
They knew you were coming.
They knew I was coming.
Yeah.
And I had spoken at previous board meetings. The last one, the one previous to this was June of last year. Was
Okay.
the last time I presented. I spoke. But prior to that, I only attended one other board meeting, which was my very first board meeting ever. And again,
How dare you be so,
right.
interested
I
in
never
what's
wanted to
going
be
on at school.
involved in the board and that deep into into the school.
Mhm.
I believed, because I grew up in a time where you went to school, you studied, you get good grades, you go to college, you get a job, blah 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 blah. Right. And that's how my kids and their mom, that's how we raised our children.
Right.
Study, get good grades, everything else follows after that.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't until the pandemic happened that I realized that the way schools were handling the response as it relates to our kids, that I wanted to get involved. And I had no idea how to do it. I'd never been to a board meeting. I don't know what.
Surprise, you got involved.
Yeah, right. You're involved.
So, now you know what happens.
So, I mean, that was my third board meeting.
Shame on you for thinking that as a taxpayer and a parent, you had a voice.
Right. And
Shame on you.
And apparently we don't. I mean, and that's the problem.
Well, we saw
problem.
that you do not.
Right.
Did you get to speak last night at that board meeting?
I did not get to speak. I deferred to the Webster police officer on staff if I was allowed to go back into the room.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about after the incident.
After they literally physically removed me from the boardroom, they didn't remove me from the building.
Okay.
And maybe
they didn't remove you from the building.
No.
Okay, so you were there to speak, and what was your concern at last night's board meeting?
My concern today, still as it was last June when I spoke at the board meeting, is the consistent mask mandates in the schools
that are affecting the kids,
kids in mental and emotional ways that are they're not seeing it right now.
They're not detectable on the surface, so to speak.
Right. And I don't know that anybody is doing anything at the school level. I'm sure that there are people that care, but they're not doing anything about it. And
what can they do?
Well, apparently they can remove parents who have a voice and are worried about it.
Exactly. And by the way, our supreme leader, the devil spawn, as I like to refer to her, Kathy Hochul, has ruled today that the mask mandate will stay for kids in schools in the state of New York until after the next break that's coming up.
Until at least after February break.
After February break.
Perhaps longer.
So we're looking at March. Really.
Correct.
So tell us, so you were on the speakers list.
Correct.
So there, let me just throw this out at you, Dave.
Yes.
And again, our guest in studio is Dave Callis, and you've seen the video of Dave last night at the board meeting in Webster. Anybody ever handle you that way? You ever? Are you because some people say, oh, he was just there to troublemaker. Are you a trouble? You don't look like a troublemaking kind of guy to me.
Not by the school district. Nobody in the school district has ever manhandled me in that.
I'll leave that one alone, Kimberly.
Right, of course.
Any other question in that respect? I'm going to defer to my lawyer.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, there are some people out there that say that guy's an agitator.
Right.
There are some people that say Dave Callis had pre-planned that and went to that board meeting absolutely to get a reaction, and you were seeking that reaction and you got the reaction you wanted.
And those people are absolutely entitled to those opinions, but that was not my intent. My intent was to go and speak on behalf of my son who's the last child I have in the district,
right,
and express my concerns about the consistent continuing mask mandates that are not necessary for these children. They're not in a risk group.
They're not.
Diseases are not being spread at school.
They're not.
Even though, kids get sick, teachers get sick, but that's not where, this COVID is being spread.
That's true. And as counsel, do you want to address that, Chad? The reason for him being there, of course, was, obviously to cause trouble, which is completely, a falsity.
Well, I actually look at it from the complete opposite end of the spectrum. The way I look at it is, you can see from the video whether he was in his heart and mind, whether he was there to cause trouble or not is entirely irrelevant, because he sat there peacefully, and you'll hear this, further as he explains what happened, but he sat there peacefully minding his own business for 15, 20 minutes.
Wait, I'm sorry. So you were there for 15 to 20 minutes?
In that chair.
Without a mask?
Correct. Without a mask.
Correct.
Before this ever happened?
Correct.
Because that's what some people are saying too. Oh, we don't know what happened. Was he agitating before? I don't know why people like to I hate that word because you are clearly not agitating anyone.
Right.
He wasn't burning Target down. We know that.
Right. So
you were not. So you were there 15 to 20 minutes before this event ever happened.
Correct.
We don't have that on camera because it it seems like, was someone getting ready to watch someone and they were filming something or videoing?
So there are a handful of other concerned parents like myself who were there, also unmasked, and I'm just not. I don't take video. I'm not a selfie guy. I mean,
Right.
the fact that I'm in front of a camera right now is awkward to me. It's just
Right.
not normal.
I know.
But
I feel the same way.
The other woman who was taking that video was taking a video from the very beginning of our entering the building,
From the
entering
parking
the
lot.
school so she
From the
was
parking
videoing
lot.
the entire thing.
Did you
correct.
walk into the Webster School Board meeting maskless?
I walked into the building without a mask on.
Okay.
We signed in.
Okay.
They said you need to wear a mask, and I said,
Did they
"Thank you very
grab
much."
you and take off your jacket and throw
No.
you out the door then?
No,
Exactly.
I signed in.
Okay.
They handed me a
Weird.
mask. I did not put the mask on. I put it in my pocket. Actually, I might even have it in my jacket.
Which is what I do when they
Right.
chase me down.
Correct.
I say, thank you very much. You're very
Correct.
nice.
Yep.
I'll
And
just put this right here.
I went upstairs to the boardroom, and there were staff outside the boardroom who said,
Without anyone saying, they didn't yank you down the stairs. Say, no.
No. "Nope." So as soon as I reached the top of the stairs, they said, "If you're not going to wear a mask, we're going to isolate you, segregate you, put you in a separate classroom for the board meeting." So they walked us down the hall.
How is that possible?
Thank you.
What would have
How-
happened if you were eating pretzels while you were sitting down?
Like an airplane.
Right. I mean, there's no COVID then.
Right.
So wait,
So-
how does that work if you're
They were-
not
they
in
were-
the room where the school board is going
They
on?
were segregating masked and unmasked parents. And the unmasked parents were going to have to sit in a classroom with a video monitor watching and listening to the board meeting.
So effectively, it was okay to be
the-
inside that building
Correct.
last night without a mask
Okay.
on. by their
Absolutely.
Wow.
own direction.
Okay.
It was
Right.
okay.
And again, is it a rule? Is it a policy? I'm like, there's no common sense to what they're doing anymore.
So let me ask you then, Dave, did you go into that room?
I did.
And you sat there.
I went into the room and I said, "This isn't going to work for me." So I walked out of the classroom. I went back down to the main boardroom, and the staff was there again and said, "You need to wear a mask." So I took a mask from the person who handed it to me. I looped it around my ear.
Mhm.
I walked into the room, sat down, and put the mask in my pocket.
And how long did you sit there?
I was probably 15, 20 minutes not wearing a mask. And that security officer had approached another woman, very active, very intelligent, very important person in our fight in these districts.
Mhm.
He approached her and removed her from the
Physically.
room as well. He took
He did.
her notebook and water bottle,
It's on video.
took it outside, and he put his hand on her back and pretty much forced her out of the room. And
Did he grab her like he
N-
grabbed you?
No, he didn't
did-
throw her around like
Do you
he
know
did.
this gentleman that did this?
Oh.
That perpetrated this
If you
assault?
know his name, you can say.
I mean, really, it's an assault. I don't know what
I
else
do
to call
know.
it.
I know who he is because I had a confrontation with him at a different board meeting in the previous school year. And in that situation, the Board of Education president decided to cancel public speaking where I had, where we were signed up to present, and she said we're canceling the public speaking part of the board, and I voiced verbally and out loud in the meeting in that very boardroom that it was that I wasn't happy with it. There's video out there. I'm sure
Right.
it'll surface.
Well, you are entitled to say you're not happy with it.
Because we're taxpayers in the district.
and
It's
you
called
have
the
a
First
vested-
Amendment. I think it's called the First Amendment.
and this is a public meeting.
and you have a vested interest.
Right. So
You have
that's-
your child in school there.
So I was not on microphone. I wasn't at the table speaking, but I was telling the board that this is unacceptable. You can't cancel after saying that, that you're going to allow parents to speak.
right.
So he was pushing me out of the room. So I knew who he was as part of the district.
When he came up to you, Dave,
Mhm.
I mean, was that totally unexpected how that went down? I mean, looking at it now, I mean, it kind of has to seem a little surreal to you that this actually happened.
It wasn't a shock because I had heard him going up to other people behind where I was sitting,
Mhm.
telling them, "You need to wear a mask. You need to wear a mask.
Mhm.
You need to wear a mask."
So
So
you
it was
knew-
just
you
a
knew
matter
that-
of time before he got to me.
The maskers were coming.
Yes. So
Of
he
course.
came up to me and he said, "Sir, you need to put a mask on." And I thanked him. I said, "Thank you." And then he said, "No, you need to put your mask on right now." And I said, Thank you very much. And he said, I want you to put your, he said, I need you to put your mask on right now. You're going to put that on. It was a demand. It wasn't asking anymore. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. And that's when he put his hands on me.
Yeah.
So, I
And
mean,
again, can we see that video one more time, Austin?
Talk about the Chinese New Year. Look at. Oh, they found him. Look at. They found him. We're in America. Oh, time to look at this.
And
look
there
at
you go.
this. Look.
Wow.
What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Is this how you treat
What
our
are
children
you
too?
doing?
Do you put your hands on the
Holy
children like
crap.
that too, sir?
Holy
What are your
crap.
boundaries?
That's assault. That is assault.
You
Oh
put-
my
Is this
God.
what they're doing to
Oh
the
my
children?
God.
Doing that to the children too?
Holy shit.
so after I sat
What the
down,
fuck
after I sat down, right, I
sat
thought I
down.
was doing the right thing. Was sit back down, being,
Yeah.
respect
Right.
the first grader who was presenting in the Chinese New Year.
I feel bad about that.
I do too. So after I sat down and he went to remove me the second time, you saw him wave to the two other gentlemen to come over
Yeah.
to help him remove me. And
it-
he said to them, pull out the chair. It's on wheels.
Wow.
And then they pulled out the chair from underneath me, grabbed me.
So that
and
you would
physically
fall,
removed
right.
me. Right.
Were those, I mean, I see an officer standing there, Dave. Is that one of the Webster police officers?
Yes, it is.
And was there something that was sent out from the Webster Police Department, Chad, today?
Yeah.
And
so-
again, Chad Hummel is representing, Dave Callis as counsel today. So he's not only sitting in on the podcast today, but most importantly, he is your attorney.
That is
So,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah, the Webster Police Department issued a press release statement a few hours ago. It's up there on the screen right now. Thank you, Austin. Essentially indicating that to the community, please be patient while we investigate possible charges.
Charges.
Yeah.
Charges. Were you arrested?
No. So,
Can you be charged without being arrested?
well, here's the thing.
I mean, I'm confused.
I'm not even assuming. I'm not assuming that they're referring to Dave. I believe that, and I don't know, but I believe that they're probably referring to the conduct of the individual who
the security
yeah,
personnel.
who potentially potentially criminally assaulted Dave. So it may be very well that that's what they're investigating right now.
I see.
Yeah.
And so this press release went out at about 11 today, noon.
I didn't see it until just before I came to the office here to see Chad. So
Yeah, I saw it a couple hours ago myself.
Yeah.
I mean, so you were there and the Webster police were there, but the
Correct.
Webster police did not assist in getting you out of the gym.
correct. The officer on duty did not intervene until we were outside the boardroom, and the security staff, the 3 or 4 members of the staff, continued to tell me that I needed to leave. And I said, I don't need to leave. You can't, legally tell me to leave. And he said, yes, I can.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Officer Johnson came over to diffuse that part of the altercation that I walked away from the board
Right.
room doors with Officer Johnson.
But again, I think the main thing that, bears repeating is the fact that you walked into the school board meeting without a mask.
Correct.
You were allowed into the building without a mask.
Correct.
You were allowed to sit for 20 minutes without a mask.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden someone decides that they're going to grab you by the arms and the hand and take off your jacket, and lands on the floor and then basically shove and knee you out of the
Correct.
of the door to the school board meeting.
Correct.
And you were not allowed to go back in
So I
because you were
asked-
speaking.
I
right?
wasn't correct, but they didn't tell me that I needed to leave. Officer Johnson did not forcibly remove me. He didn't say, they want you off the premises for trespass, which I'm going to defer to Chad, but legally that's the only thing that they can really have me removed for was criminal trespass. But they didn't tell me that. So my question was, am I allowed to stay in the building and go back in and speak? And Officer Johnson was supposed to give me that answer, but he never came back to let me know. So I stood in the building for another half hour while I was, communicating with Chad the whole time.
Right.
During that time, I realized that I may have sustained an injury. So I left voluntarily to go to urgent care.
Did it hurt? I'm sure it hurt, right? I mean,
I
mean,
don't.
sure it
I-
looked like it might hurt.
I didn't notice it at the time, but
Of course.
it caught up to me after, adrenaline probably faded away.
Well, wore off.
Right.
So so then you went to urgent care and you went home and then you realized this is on video and it has just gone viral. Someone saying that they hope you're okay. You're here today, you're talking to us now, but I'm sure that you're a little sore today. Yeah.
I'm a little sore, and everything's being evaluated at this point.
More importantly, and people are asking, because we hear so many different stories from kids that have to wear the mask, and it's mortifying. I mean, the whole 2 years of not just we have the remote learning, and now you have the masking, and it's a mask for 7 hours of the day, correct? And if you don't want to answer this, it's okay. And you mentioned it earlier, but how is your son doing with all this?
In spite of all of this,
Yeah.
He's doing very, very well. Smart.
Yeah.
He contributes, to his peers. He's received accolades from the principal of the school 5 times already since the beginning of this year.
So he's a good sit. But the mask bothers him, right? I mean,
it does.
Yeah.
And if you ask him, he'll shrug his shoulder and say, but the last 2 years has literally taken his voice away from him.
Yeah.
The only place that he wears a mask is at school. He doesn't wear it at home. He doesn't wear it in the car.
Where really a lot of your personality is formed and how you socialize.
It absolutely is.
And, the education is important, but also how you interact with others.
Right.
And now you have a mask on. People aren't really talking. You know what they're doing? They're doing this, know, and that socialization and that normalization that we all had in school is absolutely 100% gone.
Yeah. And I think,
and you were an advocate for your son.
I am
at
absolutely
this
an advocate. And part of the speech that I gave to the board last June, one of the things that I said was, the mask mandates are the precursor to allowing the state and the Department of Health to mandate vaccines on kids in the schools. And I said, we need choice. We need a choice to send them to school with a mask or without a mask. We need the freedom to choose whether they get a vaccine or not.
Well, you don't. And they don't want you to.
And I said to the board,
that's why you're a domestic terrorist.
That's the hill that I will die on. I will not allow the state to think that they control my son's body. They don't get to choose what they inject in his body. That's his mom's decision and my decision. That's why I was there last night, to let them know that is still, and it remains the hill that I will die on. I will not let a governor, a politician, tell me that they control my son's body.
A school superintendent.
And the school superintendent,
a principal,
who is just doing what he's doing his job. The county, he's going, he's following county guidelines, and county is following state guidelines. I'll tell you what, when I first started getting involved in this, there was so much finger pointing going on. We couldn't figure it out every time that we got another answer.
Well, we've heard that before,
right? From
the gentleman sitting right next to you.
Exactly.
Who has gone through this with the Irondequoit School District.
Yep.
Right. And I'm not against vaccines. Like there's, the anti-vaccine, nomenclature or whatever you want to call it. People think that I'm anti-vax. Whatever. They can call me whatever they want.
I'm not anti-vax.
I've had vaccines, but when we grew up, it was 12 vaccines. I mean, our kids are getting 72 injections now. For what?
That's
the
insane.
Same things that we had back when we were growing up.
Right. Exactly. Dave Callis is our guest. He is a gentleman that you've probably seen on the viral video from the Webster School Board meeting last night. And Chad Hummel, usually on Kimberly's Revolution and the We the People Podcast Network as a podcaster, is counsel to Dave. And I want to ask you, Chad, and just Tom is here. And
Dave, I have a question for Dave.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Like Chad's Island, Dave, does your hill have a cooler on it? because I'm not coming if you don't have one.
Absolutely.
Let's have a cooler.
Austin's
Um,
got a cooler over
Thank you,
there.
everyone, for watching Kimberly's Revolution. Of course, please support our advertisers. We have Precision Lawn and Garden, Taylor Heating and Plumbing, and of course, we also have Express Sealers. Our advertisers are very, very important to us. So please support our advertisers as we appreciate it. The question I was going to ask you, Chad, is someone said, one of the guys on here, and I know we're getting comments like crazy on, and I see your comments, by the way. Someone says that it wasn't so much as the masking as it was. Do you see that comment where the guy said
Is it Jason?
it wasn't about the masking, it's about the I am not a mask mandate person at all. I'm just giving another point of view that people may not understand. It's not the mask, it's the criminal trespass. But the fact of the matter is,
Can I answer that?
yes,
I defer to Chad.
because you are the counsel.
And now the news.
Yeah, I'm over here getting ready. My head's getting ready to pop off
Okay.
reading
Shocker.
all of Jason's comments. I think, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, you are. You've been a cop for 28 years, it says. So I think, unfortunately, Jason is blinded by the badge right now, and I mean that with all due respect, Jason. But here's the thing. There's not even an allegation of criminal trespass here.
You
The-
weren't arrested for
the
criminal
parties-
trespass.
They didn't even
They
mention
arrested
that.
you. They didn't even arrest you.
The parties that are actually involved, Jason, the Webster police who were there, the security guards who were there, the authorities on behalf of the school district, meaning the Board of Education members and the superintendents, all of the potential parties that could have claimed and alleged that Dave had trespassed on their property last night haven't made that allegation. So that's a complete red herring and side issue. There are simply no allegations of criminal trespass being thrown around at all.
Mhm.
And if they were being thrown around, they would be spurious at best and tossed out because, as we've discussed, and I don't think anyone's disputing the fact that Dave was lawfully on that property. He was invited onto the property without his mask on. He was on the
I
speaker list.
registered to be on the property.
Yeah,
I
you
was on
signed
a
in.
list.
Yeah.
to
He
be there.
signed into the building.
And I
they-
have an email confirmation too, by the way, if
Yeah.
we need that.
and they escorted him through the building.
Without a mask.
Yeah, without a mask.
Correct.
And then we
Right.
saw what the material incident that occurred. We saw it on video. We saw Dave sitting in the chair, peacefully minding his own business,
Mhm.
when he was approached by a security guard who then obviously manhandled him. So this has nothing at all to do with Dave's conduct. Clearly, it has everything to do with what this security guard did to Dave. The mask, the only thing Jason's right about is this is not about the mask. It's absolutely not about the mask. It's not about criminal trespass. It's about Dave peacefully waiting his turn to speak to the school board, and then this security guard essentially manhandling and quite possibly criminally assaulting him. So, that's where things stand.
Yeah.
To quick answer some questions here about the comments. There's 4 platforms to this show. So if you're not on the specific platform that Chad's referring to this follower, then you won't see his comments. We
Oh, I
see,
see.
we see all the comments,
Right. Then-
Oh.
but you
Okay.
have to be on that specific platform to hear what he's saying.
Dave Mancuso's listening. Hi, David.
He is?
Yeah.
Nice. I know Dave Mancuso. So you're there. You were not arrested.
Correct.
What happens now?
Chad.
What happens now? What happens now? What happens now after you were I mean, honestly.
Well, to finish the night out, my end of the evening after I went to urgent care, spinal X-rays. I went home, and at the recommendation of my attorney, I filed a police report. So I had Webster police come to my house.
Oh, you did.
I filled out a statement.
Okay.
At that point, can I?
Yeah, keep going.
The officer that came to the house said that because Webster PD was in the boardroom and witnessed what happened, they had already had an investigation started, and they were anticipating my phone call to give my statement.
Did they tell you what part of their investigation had been started?
That's all he said.
That's all he said. But
yeah.
that the investigation, do you know Anything about
They all
what
got
that
coffee and then ordered donuts.
what that part of the investigation was?
No, I can only glean from that report that was put out, that press release that was put out, that they are investigating possible criminal charges.
Mhm.
And look, I'm certainly at the risk of sounding naive, but I can't possibly imagine that there's any possible criminal investigation of my client.
Well, you didn't lay a
what
hand on
happened
them.
here.
You didn't lay a hand on anyone.
The only criminal investigation that could have any
Mhm.
legitimacy whatsoever is the Webster police looking into whether or not this individual either assaulted or harassed my client. Let me say this too. So there was a lot of comments that were flying around on various social media threads today, and there was a lot of, quite frankly, just incorrect legal conclusions that people were drawing. Right?
Oh, I know. Well, people believe they know everything
Exactly
about what's happening. I know.
Here's what people need to understand when the word assault is thrown around, because everyone throws the word assault around loosely. And a lot of people are saying that wasn't an assault. That wasn't an assault. There was no injury, so on and so forth. Well, first and foremost, none of these individuals that are saying that there was no injury have any clue whether or not Dave was injured. As Dave mentioned, he went to a doctor. He's having things evaluated. So that'll play itself out. But there's also something called a civil assault in New York State and in most states. It's good old fashioned assault and battery.
Mhm.
When somebody places their hands on another individual without that individual's consent, and it's either harmful or offensive, even without an injury.
Mhm.
If somebody places their hands on somebody and it's harmful or offensive and they don't have permission, that's considered a battery. That's a civil battery. That's a negligence charge or an intentional tort in New York State. And the individual who does that can be held liable for it. And the principals, who are the school district, for that agent, for that security guard, they can absolutely be held liable for that. That's outside the scope of a criminal matter. So it might not end up that there's a criminal assault charge filed against this individual, because either the Webster Police Department will decide not to do it, or the circumstances will play out such that the investigation reveals that there was not a criminal assault,
Mhm.
but there's still most definitely the possibility of a civil lawsuit, not a criminal lawsuit, but a civil lawsuit for assault and battery. And there's a distinction between the criminal nature of an assault and the civil nature of an assault and battery. And people don't know that. And quite frankly, they wouldn't know that unless they went to law school.
Right. Exactly.
What did you just say?
I went to law school.
Law school.
Once. I went once.
Criminal. Okay.
Someone, one of the texters on the chat line said that the security guard at the Webster Board of Education meeting last night, Dave, was laughing. I don't see where
there at the tail end of the video, I think, that we have.
Hold on,
file.
you just missed it. There we go. The security guard was laughing. I
Yeah.
watched it live. Dave was sitting and waiting. He did not bother anyone. Actually, according to, and I can't see that, actually, according to Hochul's mandate, Dave could have sat 6 feet apart and been fine in the same room. You wouldn't have had to be moved to another room completely. But was the security guard laughing, you said?
I didn't know, but at the tail end of the video, you could see the security guard laughing and waving at the other parent who was recording the video.
Will you ever go back to another
Absolutely.
Board of Education meeting?
I still have my speech, and I'm planning on going on March 3rd. So the Board of Education and Brian Neenan needs to understand that this isn't the end.
And there's not a restraining order.
There is no restraining order. They haven't asked me to not come back. They haven't.
And oh, by the way, I'm sorry, but we have to divert for a second. Do we have, I don't know if you guys used this yesterday on your podcast, but do we have the picture of Brian Neenan at he was at a luncheon or a breakfast function over the weekend with the Board of Education's other boards of education, maskless? Where's Brian in that picture? Can we get that up on screen?
No, Chad, we only do dick jokes on Tuesday, so we didn't get any of that.
Can you see? Is this what we have? I don't have, this is all I have right here. Can people see that?
Dave, do you know who's in that picture?
So Brian Neenan is he's the only male representative in the
He's
picture.
this one right there.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then there's two Webster Board of Education members in the same in the same picture.
Perfect. So let's stop there. So here are, and
With
you know
Jennifer
where they were?
Lunsford, I believe that's the politician.
Do you know where they were?
I don't know where that meeting took place.
But they were indoors somewhere over the weekend, and they were meeting collectively as Board of Education members across the community. There were other superintendents, other Board of Education members from across Monroe County at this luncheon or at this brunch, and they were there to discuss child mental health issues in school, amongst other school issues. And they're there maskless. There's the superintendent maskless, right? It's okay for him to be maskless in a building, right? Because he's smarter than we are. It's okay for him to use his discretion, because behind closed doors, what people like him and maskless Adam Bello and maskless Dr. Mike Mendoza,
Sure.
what they always tell us is this: well, we're behind a microphone and we're speaking, or we're just taking a quick picture.
They couldn't be closer together here.
It doesn't say anything
Right, that's not
about
6 feet.
it doesn't say anything about microphones and pictures in the mask mandate. So what they're telling us is, even though the mask mandate says this, because we are smart, intelligent adults, we are going to do things that we believe are common sense. Why don't they give somebody like Dave, who's a smart, intelligent adult, the ability to go to a school board meeting and take his mask off, exercising his own common sense? No, they can do it, and they can smile about it in this picture. And then less than 48 hours later, they can sit up at a Board of Education meeting with their masks on, right? The mask theater, the COVID theater that they like to do, and then literally use their bulldogs, their agents, their security guards to physically pull this guy out of his chair, jack him up, and push him out of the building. It's absolutely disgusting.
Did you want
It's
me to answer
disgusting.
that? Do you want
Did
me
I
to
ask a question?
Yeah, I don't even know if it was a question. But you
Was
know,
there a question
you know
in there
the
anywhere?
reason, you know the reason. You don't matter.
You're in contempt,
And,
Counselor.
and
I'm in
honestly,
contempt of the
I don't
podcast.
mean to interrupt you. I'm
You-
sorry that I did interrupt you,
you
but
don't matter to
the
them.
reason that I was there last night is because they don't believe that our children matter.
They don't.
Our children don't
100%.
have a voice. And the voices that they do have are coerced. If you have a teacher asking a child, how do you feel about the mask? What do you think a child is going to say? Oh, it's okay. Because they're in
They're
front of the
kids.
teacher.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they don't want to get in trouble.
They can't match socks, for God's sakes. And they're going to be asked, how do you feel about mask mandates?
Yeah.
For Christ's sake. I mean, we have never worn a mask as a culture,
Ever.
ever. And now that they think
Ever.
that that's okay, and you know what? If you want to wear one, fine. I'm never going to judge you for that. I'm never going to tell you to take it off. I'm never going to ask for a law to prevent that.
Tom wears one alone
But
in his car. when
I
he's
do.
driving.
But you have to
Well, I'm
give
driving backwards, so that makes it
people
legal.
need to understand that we deserve the right to choose.
Right. But they're in power, and they have control. They have control,
It's
and
sick.
they're
It's sickening.
They're giddy with it. Right?
Right.
They don't care about you or your children. They want your money
Oh.
from taxes.
Yep.
But then they want you to go away, Dave.
Yep.
They don't want to they want you to be seen, and they don't want you to be
Right.
heard
They-
at all.
We
You
don't
make
have
their lives
we don't
difficult.
have school choice. We can't take our tax dollars and use them in another district, right? We don't have that choice.
You don't have that choice.
We don't have control over our kids, because if we send them to school, they have to do what the school tells them to do, what to wear on their face, and pretty soon what to inject in their bodies.
That's true.
Because
I mean, that's next.
Governor Hochul did say she's disappointed in the number of 5 to 11-year-olds who have not been vaccinated in New York State.
That's sick, isn't it?
It's
It's sick.
Because the
disgusting. It's criminal.
statement is built on a premise that she has authority and
control.
moral superiority over the parents in making those decisions. It's evil. It's pure evil.
It is evil. So going for so Beth says, I asked my 6-year-old son if he had a choice to wear or not wear a mask, and he says, as long as I don't get in trouble, I don't. He's scared of getting in trouble.
Yeah.
They're
I
all
think.
scared.
Yeah, they're
They've
scared
been
of getting in trouble.
They're all
brainwashed.
scared.
They've been indoctrinated to believe that if they don't wear their mask, they're either A, going to get sick, B, get one of their fellow students sick, or C, they're going to get in trouble. So they're presented with three false premises.
You forgot kill grandma.
And correct.
Correct.
And
I
not
did
to
think
mention
of
the
that.
peer pressure that they're under. I mean, take masks out of the situation, right? I mean, kids are under an
I know.
enormous amount of peer pressure in school these days. The social media bullying is off the charts.
Mhm.
And now you throw masks on kids. And if there's a child that goes to school who doesn't want to wear a mask, I mean, think about
I
how
know.
singled out that individual is going to be. Kids don't want that. They want to go to school. They want to learn. They want to have a good time. They want to play with whatever crayons and, go to the,
Right,
to
they
PE.
just wanna-
They
right.
want to be kids.
It's so
Masks
much not like
are
that.
not allowing children to be children anymore.
I mean, a whole year of your kid's life.
2 years.
A whole year of your kid's life was remote learning, right?
Absolutely.
2 years to flatten the curve, right?
2 years to
What
flatten
the-
the 2-week
what those
curve.
posters said.
I thought
Yeah.
it was a month.
Oh, it was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks.
Was
not
it
2
2
years.
weeks?
Yeah.
It's
Two.
turned into 2 years.
Yeah.
And now they're finally coming around to say, hey, we have to live with the virus. This was nothing but politics, bad, sick, evil politics, exerting control over the population
On both sides.
from the very beginning,
on both sides.
on
of the
both
aisle.
sides.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, the GOP
And-
has done nothing to help
And our
us.
kids suffered. I mean, can you imagine having a newborn 2 years ago? And all that newborn has seen to date are people with masks on.
Can we call Adam Bello live on the show?
They haven't been able to
Yeah, what
discern-
happened yesterday, Chad? I missed the phone call.
I didn't make it yet.
They haven't been able to discern, people's emotions.
I ran out of quarters.
And I
That's,
mean, if you ask an expert, that's critical for young children.
isn't it?
It's critical.
I mean, it's
In the formative years where when you're in school, pre-K, first grade, second grade, it's critical for you to see the faces of your peers and the teachers and the adults in the
Right.
building, because that's part of the development, personal growth and development and
Right.
learning process.
it's evolution.
And they are denying that from our children.
Right.
And this mental health issue is going to be a bigger pandemic for children than this viral pandemic is.
Yeah.
How many other parents were there
Oh,
that were like standing, but behind?
I walked in with a group of probably 10 to 12 parents, all whom do not agree with the mask mandates. Some of them did put masks on once they walked in the building and the boardroom. Some of them did not. But all in, the room was full of probably, I don't know, 50, 60 people.
Is there any tailgating that goes on before these meetings?
It's not as fun as a football
you-
free.
you could only wish, right?
Right.
How many
Why-
people contacted you, Dave?
1,000.
About 1,000.
1,000.
Wanting you to come
I had
on
to
and-
stop counting. I mean, it was text after text, instant message after instant message. I've received calls from pretty much every media outlet in the county at this point.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want a celebrity.
You didn't do this
No.
and again, the first question I asked you was, there are people that say that you pre-planned this situation and you did not.
No.
That was
No.
your answer.
But the people who know me and the people who are getting to know me, I mean, they should know and they should continue to understand that I will literally die for my children.
Mhm.
I mean, I love my children more than anything in this world. And I am there to fight for them, and I will not stop. This isn't the end. As a matter of fact, this is the very beginning.
yeah.
We've been involved and we've been very polite.
now
and
you're
we've been
angry.
we've been following processes for so long.
Yeah.
And people said, well, let it get to the court level. And it did. And a New York State Supreme Court judge said masks are unlawful.
Absolutely.
And then a governor,
yes.
An
a
unelected
governor,
governor.
unelected governor said, nope, I'm going to appeal and stay the decision to keep masks on our kids. I didn't elect her. I didn't vote for her. I don't co-parent with her. I don't want her making a decision what's right or wrong in terms of the health of my child. This is unacceptable. And that's why I was there last night, to voice that opinion on behalf of my child.
And that's when you'll be back on March 3rd.
I will. They will see me again. This
Yeah.
is not the end.
And there's nothing out there preventing you from.
Not yet.
I mean, I think we harken back to when Chad was arrested
Correct.
at his son's
Shh, don't tell anyone.
outdoor baseball game.
Yeah.
Outdoors. yeah.
Outdoors.
Yeah.
Outdoor baseball game.
What a loser.
When he was arrested this past spring, wasn't it?
It was May 1st of last year.
And what they immediately did, of course, was issue a restraining order to where he couldn't get back.
Yeah, they told me I wasn't allowed back on campus.
But this is different.
Yeah.
I mean, they physically.
There
you
may
know,
be law
laid hands
enforcement
on
waiting
you.
in my driveway. I haven't been home in two
Does
two
that
hours.
worry you?
No, not at all.
It doesn't worry
Because
you.
I support the police.
Of
100%.
course.
I am a law-abiding citizen.
You're not a defunder.
Wait, have you ever seen the
right?
movie Law Abiding Citizen? You know how that ends,
yeah.
right? That's a
I mean,
great movie.
listen. I'm not a perfect human being. I break laws. I've broken the speed limit. I've been pulled over and I've abided.
I
and
told you not to admit to any crimes on the
Oh.
podcast.
Did you sign up for
sorry
a
about
Biden crack pipe?
Everyone needs one of those.
I totally respect the police. As a matter of fact, I went to school for criminal justice. I wanted to get in federal law enforcement. So, I mean, I don't take issue with, with our law enforcement community at all.
I'm gonna stick to the positive because I know what else is out there. But the feedback that you have received, I've got to think, is in your favor.
It's
100% because they know at the core, the important part is, and not only with you, Dave, but with Chad and all the other parents out there, the Hilton parents, the core is what's best for my kid.
Absolutely. And
Your kid can wear a mask.
And
but
it's
what's
their
best
choice
for my
Correct.
kid?
And the overwhelming response that I've seen has been positive.
Mhm.
And I sincerely appreciate all the support. What I'm somewhat concerned with is that more people aren't willing to get up and say something about
They're afraid.
their feelings.
They're
Absolutely.
afraid.
This has been a fear
mean,
campaign from the very, very beginning.
But yeah, they're afraid.
Absolutely. And if there's anything that I can say to anybody that's listening or watching right now, you have a voice. Say something. Get together with other like-minded people and do something. Go to a board meeting. Sign up to speak.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're getting groups of people to vote for the representatives or who are going to represent you the right way.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think most people are afraid because they're afraid that they're going to be, pointed out.
Yeah.
They're afraid their kids are
And
going to
they're
be hassled.
The mom group is going to get judged by other mom groups. And,
or
and
they'll
it's,
call you.
did you hear about Dave in the board meeting? Well,
Look
what?
at him. Look, he's a racist.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's the next. And honestly, yeah, they'll pick out every and slap on every title on you. Domestic terrorist, or you're a racist, or you're an agitator, or whatever. That's why people don't stand up, because there are so many people that are unwilling to stand up with others.
Yeah.
To say, you know what, this whole thing is wrong.
Yeah. I know who I am. And the people
We
that
know who you are.
And the people that know me know who I am.
Yeah.
And I mean, I again, outside of my children, if you're somebody that's important in my life, I literally I'll give you the shirt off my back.
I can't see how you're going to be arrested. Can we watch the video one more time before we get out of here?
Talk about the Chinese New Year. Look at. Oh, they found him. Look at. They found him. We're in America. Oh, time to look at this. Look at this.
That's
Look,
a battery
what
right
are
there.
you doing? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?
Here comes battery number 2.
What are you doing?
Is this how you treat
What
our
are you
children, too?
doing?
Putting his hands on him.
Holy
Like that,
crap.
sir?
Holy crap.
Boundaries.
That's assault.
There's
That
battery
is
number 3.
assault.
You-
Oh my God.
They're doing
Oh
to the
my
children?
God.
Doing that to the children.
The
too?
commentary's way better than the video.
Shit. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Officer, do something about that.
You know what? We can call it.
There are students in the building.
Here's where he waves at the
You
tail
just
end.
allow your security
might
to
not see
do
it.
that? What
So
are you doing?
the woman that recorded the video
Is it the woman
has been
that's
dragged.
narrating?
What are
Right.
you doing?
She's been dragged through
Wow.
the social media mud.
You're on video.
Like there are people that
brother.
are
And he's
calling her
laughing.
names,
He's laughing. You're laughing.
judging her.
Yeah, fuck you,
You
dude.
see,
You're laughing.
he was laughing right there. But I mean, she absolutely did the right thing, and she was there
course she did
for
the right thing.
the right reason.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that video, this would be my word against theirs.
It
That's what I was just
absolute-
gonna say.
It
So-
absolutely. I mean, she's important.
Right.
The
She is
language,
important.
the language aside, I mean, look,
So what?
I have
People
no-
say people say fuck all the time.
Oh, of course.
Fuck this, fuck that. It's all
Yeah.
fuck, fuck,
Can we
fuck,
say
fuck,
that?
fuck. That's what people
Yeah,
do. You don't.
Yeah,
I
My
mean, I'm
grandfather
sorry.
said, "Don't trust
I'm just
anybody
gonna
who
say-
doesn't
You're too
swear."
nice of a
So-
guy to say it, Dave.
I'm just going
Fuck
to
that.
say this right now.
There's
If
no
anyone's
SEC.
offended by that lady's language, fuck you.
So I want to
There
say,
you go.
if she's watching,
Never
right
mind.
now, I want to thank Jill very much for what she did in recording that video for
They were
for all of
harassing
us
her.
last night.
Oh yeah,
well,
she was getting
people on social
destroyed.
media are getting her. They're
Yeah.
harassing her for
No.
swearing, and
They're the trolls.
yeah, they're absolutely the trolls. And I called her today and I said,
They have
don't
nothing
listen
else
to
better
them.
to do. They're sitting eating Cheetos in their parents' basement.
Cheetos?
They have nothing else better to do than harass people that are want to take a stand.
Yeah.
Thank God she recorded
Absolutely, I agree with that
that.
100%.
Hey, listen, whatever her
yeah.
comment. I mean, I don't know. It
I'm
is
okay
what
with
it
the
is.
profanity.
The security guard was made aware. Can you run that down? The security guard was made aware that Dave wasn't in a mask, but he did not approach Dave later. Until later. Until later. I
Yeah,
can't
we
see you're
could have done
moving
our regular crappy show today. So
You didn't
this
approach
one's a
him.
little different.
He didn't approach you until the 7-year-old boy was about to speak. And then that poor 7-year-old boy,
Oh my, I know. So I was outside.
couldn't he have done it like, but again, here's the thing. You sat there for 20 minutes.
Right. Yep. And
That makes me angry.
I can't prove this yet, but I mean the corruption and the mismanagement of our district goes back a long way. I mean, that's evident by the former superintendent.
Webster
Carm
said-
Gamina.
Correct.
He's there's a federal lawsuit slapped against him in
Right.
the district right now.
Right. And that like trickles down into some of the remaining board members as well. So my name was on the list. They knew that my name was on the list. And I have to believe that because I was coming back to speak,
Mhm.
that the president of the board,
Mhm.
made sure the security knew that I was there. So why he chose that particular point when that 7-year-old child was, I mean, think about how hard it was for that kid to get up there and talk.
And then
right?
try to do it after that.
So
I'll tell you why.
I saw them walking out after the situation. I apologized to his mom. I said, I apologize that that had happened in front of your child.
Mhm.
And she shook her head. I don't think that
You didn't need to apologize.
But I understand that, but I wouldn't want that to happen to my kid,
Right.
right?
That's so when they write the letter, if they write the letter to Dave, the so-called no trespass letter that these districts love to pass out like Halloween candy, when they write him the no trespass letter, they'll have this nice little narrative of how his conduct was detrimental to the children, right? To the one kid out of the 60 people that were there was one kid, and because they timed their assault on him, their battery on him, because they timed it so perfectly, they'll be able to write that nice little narrative in the letter to him saying that he disrupted that kid's speech, and therefore this is why you're not allowed back on school property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is just evil. I mean, beyond bad, I think. And we've been saying this for 2 years. And until people stand up like you did, it's not going to get any better.
Nobody's coming to save us.
No,
I had
no,
that conversation with a couple other parents before the board meeting.
except
and they
for
said,
except
I'm not,
for us.
right.
Mhm.
They said, I'm not sure if I can get up there and speak. I'm not sure if I'm going to go. And realistically, I mean, I said straightforward, nobody else is coming to save you. We cannot wait for the superintendents and the council of superintendents in Monroe County to collectively get together and start seriously advocating on behalf of our children. They're just doing whatever Monroe County tells them to do and whatever New York State tells them to do.
I think it was a great lesson for that 7-year-old. I'm being honest here. I think it was a great lesson.
Yeah.
Here's what happens when you try to stand up and do the right thing.
Yeah.
They grab you and they haul you out.
The power players grab you and haul you out.
I mean, watching situations, and yours hasn't been the only situation like that across the country.
No,
There's
plenty of others.
There have been plenty, and that's why the Biden administration labeled, school board meetings and parents who chose to show up domestic terrorists.
Yeah. Well, the FBI knows where I live, so if they want to start an investigation, you can knock on my door. I'll be there.
Well, the good thing is that they also know where your attorney lives.
Yeah.
One for Kimberly.
1,000%
They also
there.
know where you live.
Let me throw one more.
Which is nice.
That would have been a great ending, except I still have more to say. But
shocker.
There's
take my lead on how to.
I can't.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
So
how to end a show? Take my
can't.
lead.
It's okay,
I'll go
counselor. We don't have anything else to do. Go ahead.
Like Austin says, I'm a great monologuer.
Go ahead.
So it didn't go to my head, Austin. Don't worry. What we saw there in that video boils down to something else, and that is Dave. Luckily, I shouldn't say luckily. It's what he chose to do. He knew what he was doing. He consciously chose to keep his composure, right? and allow them to engage in the illegal conduct that they engaged in. He kept his composure. I'll say this, though. They do that to anyone else, potentially, right? And that person stands up, turns around,
And it starts the Golden Corral.
and knocks that guy out. They're justified under the law to do so. Because as I explained to you, when that individual comes up to Dave and illegally places his hands on him, first, that's an attack. That's a civil attack. That's a battery. That's potentially an assault, and it's also potentially criminal. And you have the right in the United States of America to defend yourself. All right? So Dave could have turned around and physically defended himself.
But what happens at that point, though?
Well, I get it.
All world comes to an end.
I get it. But, maybe an all world comes to an end.
No, it doesn't.
Moment.
Maybe the next security guard thinks twice.
Exactly.
About
I don't
doing
think
that.
so.
Yeah.
I think Dave
I
gets
don't know.
pummeled.
No, he might get pummeled, right? And the individual who decides to act accordingly, like as I just explained, may get pummeled. But when the video goes viral, right, and people start to recognize that, like Dave just said, they're not coming to save us.
Right.
We have to save ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So somebody in that situation, and I'll give the stupid disclaimer that everybody gives, right? I'm not advocating for violence, but I am advocating for self-defense. Okay? I am advocating for self-defense.
And children.
So defend yourselves, folks. The next time you get attacked like this illegally and unlawfully, it's okay to defend yourself, right? It is.
Yeah,
It's okay,
absolutely.
certainly, to do what Dave did.
Could have used that advice before the meeting. Thanks, Joe.
But we believe in freedom of choice, right? And you have the choice to do what Dave did last night.
That's right.
I mean, you also have the choice to defend yourself.
Exactly. We appreciate you, Dave Kellis, coming
thank you very
in.
much for the opportunity.
We
Thank you.
appreciate
Yeah,
what you
thanks
did
for
last
coming.
night.
Thank you. Very
We
nice to meet you all.
appreciate for you as a parent, a busy, parent. You have a business. You're running a business. You're taking care of, your kids and your family. And so, God bless you.
Thank you.
I mean,
and to the dads out there,
you're getting it done.
get involved.
Absolutely.
There's a lot
get
of
involved.
moms that are in this fight, and it's time for the dads to start standing up.
Very true.
Yeah.
Are they going to start coaching baseball and everything else?
Who, the moms?
They might.
There's probably some better female coaches than male coaches.
Yeah, probably.
Great point. We'll end on that.
Oh, you
Very
can always
that
leave
note.
that to Tom. But again,
Thank you very
we
much.
appreciate you coming on. Good luck to you in the future. I'm sure we'll hear an update, and
I'll be back.
good luck on March 3rd. We want to thank all of the patriots who've been watching today. Kimberly's Revolution, which again is available on Facebook, We the People Podcast Network. It's available on YouTube. Please give us subscribe, give us a like on YouTube. It's free. Of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Precision Lawn and Garden, Taylor Heating and Plumbing, and Express Sealers. We could not do this show without our sponsors. We could not do this show, of course, without all the patriots who watch every single week and have been doing so for the past almost 2 years. So we appreciate them. Of course, for just Tom and Chad and you, Dave, and Austin, as we always say,
God bless. Be kind to others.
Buy more ammo.
We're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor. 500 help.